So yeah, there will be some forward-looking statements, so please note this slide. The agenda for today is that I'm going to give an overview of Better Collective, what the company does and the industry we're in. I'm going to focus on our recent Q1, the highlights from that, and then speak a bit about what we believe is a very big opportunity with the US market opening up for sports betting. Lastly, a bit on our strategy and the outlook of the company, and then there will be time for a few questions. About me, I'm the co-founder of Better Collective and current CEO. I co-founded the business back in 2002 together with Christian Kirk Rasmussen, and we are still very much involved in the business as CEO and COO. And this slide gives you a pretty nice overview of the history of our company. You may notice starting out in 2002, it was a very small business, and it was like that for a few years. The reason for that was that we actually started out when we were 19 years old, Christian and I, got into the sports betting and iGaming world by seeing a television news show in Denmark back in 2001. We had just turned 18, and it was shown in the Danish news on TV2 how you could play with an online casino, receive a bonus, and by wagering optimal using the strategy for blackjack, you're able to make a profit, which sounds today ridiculous because this is not something which is a profitable endeavor. But the reason it was possible at the time was that the requirements for having a bonus were so low. So if you then just optimized your play and went on to get a new bonus, it was possible. Many Danes did that back in 2001. So many Danes did it that the online casinos ended up excluding Danes, saying in the terms and conditions of the casinos, you Danes are too clever for us, so you cannot have any bonuses. So that was how we got started with this. And then we, Christian and I, in 2002 moved to Berlin, where we created a website explaining Germans about this. And that's really the start of this company, that we gave information to users about these bonuses and places to operate. In 2004, we founded a company, and I think unlike most other businesses in the iGaming world, we created a Danish company headquartered in Copenhagen, and then gradually starting to grow while we were also studying. So 2006 is where the business starts to take off. We make a partnership with Bet365. We also acquire bettingexpert.com. I'll come back to our different products in a second. And we really managed to grow the business. And up until 2016, it has been pure organic growth after we acquired Betting Expert. So that's really where we come from. But what we realized in 2016 was that this sector, iGaming affiliation, is consolidating. And we wanted to take part in that because size truly matters in this industry. So we started to acquire businesses in 2017 and believe we did so successfully. So around mid-18, or the decision was taken early on, we listed the company in June 18, so almost a year ago now, with the aim of bringing in cash to continue to consolidate online sports betting content and community sites. And that's what we have been doing since we listed. So take 17 and 18, that's still organic growth, but also some acquired growth to the business. And we've moved from a small private company in Copenhagen to now a global company. And if we look at Better Collective, where we are today, we have offices around Europe, and we actually just opened an American company as well, and are taking an office in Manhattan. So we are a global company now, and also with an office in Stockholm because we acquired a Swedish business just before Christmas. Financial performance is that we in 18 just made it across above 40 million euros, and I think worth noting with the business that Christian and I founded is that we are still majority owners, Christian and I. We didn't sell any shares in the IPO, so our ownership is approximately 60% of the company today, and therefore you can definitely say that management is heavily invested in this company. We also topped the industry ranking among affiliate businesses in iGaming and in the world. The EGR Power Affiliates list, which is something we're extremely proud of because it's really a testament to the quality of the work we do. We have a high margin and millions of people coming to our sites, and a total of 300 employees. So what is it that we do? Say you were looking for a flight ticket. I think most of you know that you can go to some flight comparison site to get the best price. We do a similar thing within sports betting. We do odds comparison. So we present to users the different odds so the user can choose the best odds available for a particular match. You may also, when you want to book a hotel, go to TripAdvisor to read reviews of the different hotels. Well, we do a similar thing with our community on bettingexpert.com, where almost 1 million users, they come and post analysis of different football games, tennis events, bandy, you name it. We have tips for almost anything on that community. It's the biggest in the world of its kind. So it's very user-driven, and all content on Betting Expert is driven by users. And in each market, or in many markets, we have a similar site. So focusing on sports betting, information, content, odds comparison in various markets across Europe, but also globally. And I think if you look at discussion forums within stock picking, you see the similar mechanisms that typically you have in a local market, a very big site. So in Denmark we have a site called Euroinvestor, and I believe you have here presenterar, where many people discuss. So in each market there will be this site or a few sites where people they go to find information and discuss. You also have some global sites, such as Seeking Alpha, which is a very big investment community. And all of these mechanisms you actually find in a similar way within sports betting, because there's a local interest in sports, but there's also this global interest where a lot of users from across countries, they come together to share tips and analysis. The way we acquire traffic, because what I just presented is sort of what we offer to users, the way we get traffic to our sites is with very limited cost, because we, as a core expertise in the business, are very good at ranking in Google. So we get traffic for free by delivering a good user experience in Google. And ultimately, in order to monetize all of this, we drive traffic to the sports betting operators, and they will then either pay us a fixed fee for a new customer delivered, or we'll get a share of the revenue generated by that user. And most of our business is based on the revenue share element, which is for life. So we have a big bank of players we've generated since the inception in the early zeros that is still generating the revenue now. So we have a internally very important KPI is the number of new customers that we deliver to our partners, but it's actually not necessarily the revenue driver for that specific month. We know that will be the revenue driver in maybe 6 to 12 months time, because we have this database. So most revenue stems from existing players that we send historically. Being in iGaming, it's also important for us to stress that it comes with a responsibility. We're aware that gambling addiction is a problem when you engage with an industry like this. We have several initiatives where we try to help, but I think the overall ambition, which is really important to understand, is that we want users to be better off by going through one of our sites, meaning that they should actually be more knowledgeable about the pitfalls of sports betting and gambling in general, understand the math and the mechanics behind placing bets and money management better than if you went straight to the operator. And that's why we believe we can actually have a positive impact on the users by providing this information and also create awareness of gambling addictions on our site. At the same time, we do fund research within gambling addiction, which is being done at a university in Denmark. But overall, the statement is gambling is entertainment. So it's a lot of fun. Personally, I enjoy placing a bet on a game I'm about to see, but we do have a responsibility for those who are not able to manage their betting. Here you see a few of the products, and coming back to what I said before about the types of local market players we have. You'll see we have the leader Romanian side, PariRix. We have Betting Expert as our global brand. We have, as another example, presenterar, which is our Greek side, market-leading side in Greece. And then we have Speltips here in Sweden. We have Wettbasis, a German side, which is a very strong site in that particular market. And across markets, we have similar sites with this information and the community aspects. Financials. So Q1 was very strong, and worth highlighting was we actually received yet again the Power Affiliate ranking #1 for this year. That was, as you know now, second time in a row, which is the first for any company in this industry. We received an award outside of our industry, SEMrush Nordic Search Awards, a testament to the quality of search engine optimization work we do. And lastly, we got a regulatory award for Best Affiliate in Compliance. And I'll come back in a second to the regulatory outlook in this industry, and it matters a lot. On the number side, we almost doubled the revenue from Q1 last year. Earnings were tripled. We had a very strong cash flow and in general have a cash conversion of almost 100%. And the number of new depositing customers to our partners, the main KPI I mentioned, was an all-time record for the business and up more than 100%, almost 150%. So all in all, we were standing on very strong foundation for future growth with Better Collective. Just quickly on the market we're in. So this is the European market, and what you'll notice is that we have almost double-digit organic growth within sports betting, but if you being at 8.4%. But if you zoom in on mobile, it's at 15%, and therefore all our products are built mobile first because that's really how people, and especially the young generation today, place bets. So when they sit at a game or watch it live, they will sit with the smartphone to place bets. And on the regulatory side, as mentioned, it matters a lot because we see a lot of changing dynamics within the regulatory framework that we can operate in. Sweden being a very good example that just regulated 1st of January this year. And what matters is that it may be short-term unstable being in a newly regulated market, but it then gives you a foundation where you are more sure about what to expect in the market. So for those familiar with the industry, there's been quite a lot of focus on Sweden this year and also end of last year, and there has been a short-term negative effect on the revenue for the Swedish market. But that's at least what I believe. We are now at a level from where you will see stable growth in this industry. And we monitor across all markets these developments because we know that it eventually will be a barrier to entry for other affiliates. And we, as one of the biggest in the industry, by being on top of this, we get a competitive advantage. The US, as I started out by saying, is a major opportunity for us. Last year, the PASPA Act was repealed by the Supreme Court in the US. And the PASPA Act was a federal ban on sports betting, which was implemented in 1992. Meaning that it hasn't been allowed to bet on sports in the US in almost all states. That doesn't mean Americans don't bet on sports. They do, and they actually bet even more than Europeans it's expected. They've just done so with offshore bookmakers where it wasn't allowed for Americans to bet. That has changed now. So we will go from basically a zero market. It has just started. It started in Q3 last year. But from a zero market to expected in 5 years' time, a $6 billion market. And Better Collective is making a big bet on taking a piece of that pie. And we're already active. We already have revenue coming from the American market in New Jersey. But soon Pennsylvania, the state of Pennsylvania, will also open up. And more states will come. And that is really the biggest opportunity we believe, which is in our industry right now. So we have almost double-digit organic growth in our bread and butter business in Europe. But we can add to that there can be potentially a very big lift in growth coming from the States. South America also developing positively. So Brazil has decided to implement sports betting regulation from 2021. And again, it's a mega driver we see in the industry that gradually countries decide to regulate online sports betting rather than banning it, because it's a strong source of tax revenue for the businesses or for the countries, but also the only way they can actually get a bit of control with potential gambling addiction among the population. And we haven't included Asia in this, and it's because Asia is still very far from getting that regulation. But again, personally, I believe that it will happen. So there will be this global driving force of regulation where countries want to tax that revenue instead of seeing it going elsewhere to offshore bookmakers. So strategy and outlook. So far we've been standing on 3 pillars. The organic growth, which I talked about in the beginning, that we have grown organically up until 2016. It's about launching new products, it's improving our existing products, going into more markets like we have done with the US. And it's really where we're comfortable because we know how to build a strong site, we know how to get it to rank and get traffic in Google, and that ultimately is just a business we can continue to build on. But at the same time, as I already mentioned, size matters. So we want to continue to consolidate the industry. We are the biggest sports betting affiliate out there, and what we have experienced after starting to acquire businesses is that we also get stronger towards the operator where we negotiate deals, so we can get an uplift in the commissions we are being paid, because we are now able to offer them traffic across countries of high quality. And at the same time, the businesses we acquire, we typically acquire at a multiple of 5 to 7 times EBIT, but that's pre-synergy. And with the insights we have to the value of databases with sports betting, the banks of players, with our expertise in conversion rate optimization to improve conversions from the site, we can often bring the actual multiple paid for the businesses down quite significantly. So it makes a lot of sense to acquire, and we're going to continue to do so. Then on the geographical expansion, I've talked about US. It's a really big opportunity which we are investing in, and we do so again from 3 points. One being the organic. We're already there with our products, developing more products, but we're also looking for businesses to acquire in the States to put even more fuel into the car over there. And lastly, we are looking to see if there could be some collaborations with existing businesses in the US that may be sitting on a lot of traffic related to sports betting or just sports in general, where affiliation is a completely new thing. They haven't experienced such businesses over there before, so we have the chance of bringing in expertise. And from what we feel so far by having dialogue with different stakeholders in the American market, is that there is a big demand for the services we do. So all in all, those are the three things where Better Collective will be focusing on in the coming years. Then the financial targets that we have set, the board has set for Better Collective is that in the period 18 to 20, we should grow revenue with 30 to 50%, and that's including double-digit organic growth. In 18, the organic growth was 9%. So we expect to increase organic growth, and I think Q1 was a very good example of that, where we achieved 41% organic growth. So this target is at an average for 18 to 20. Then the EBITDA margin should be above 40%. It was 44% in Q1, so again, we are comfortably within this target, while we are still investing in the business. So a lot of the cost that we have currently is actually cost associated with developing the States and other parts of the business, which are not necessarily revenue drivers. So we have plenty of room, we feel, to live up to this target. And lastly, on debt, we want to be below 2.5 times our EBITDA. And again, we're actually a bit net cash positive right now. So plenty of room to still acquire roughly 55 million euros in the bank. And just lastly, which I want you to take away, is that we're the #1 sports betting affiliate in the world. We're in a high growth market, and adding the US on top of that, we really have a big opportunity. We have an attractive business model of these banks of players that is generating revenue from past players. And lastly, we have demonstrated we can do acquisitions and grow from that. That was it from me. Thanks.
Please.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. Very interesting. You've come far. You have a few challenges, as far as I could understand. And one of them being the regulation that you mentioned. You mentioned particularly Sweden. And it looks like that regulation has affected the share prices to a certain extent. Should investors be concerned, or you started to elaborate on it, but could you continue a little bit, please? Because I think lots of people here and following us elsewhere are interested to find out a little bit more.
Yeah. I think if we look at, we listed in June at a share price of 54, and today we are, I think, mid 70s. So that's great. Like, I'm very happy and pleased about that. Thanks. But if I look at the sector as a whole, from June, it's significantly down.
Yes.
And that's of course annoying, being in this sector. And honestly, I think the Swedish regulation has probably been given a bit too much focus among the Swedish investor community. It's a big sector in Sweden, and also why I listed Better Collective in Sweden. It's because there's a lot of knowledge about the sector here. But my opinion is that Sweden is it's a very attractive market. It's an interesting market for all stakeholders in the industry, but it's still a tiny part of the global opportunity.
Yeah.
And even though there have been a few hiccups with this regulation, I see it as a good thing. It sets a strong set of rules by which operators and all of us can navigate. There will be some tax. It's 18%. It's actually an attractive tax level. And I think from where we are today, we'll start to see growth. But the amount of tumble you have seen among Swedish stocks in the sector really doesn't, I think, isn't justified by what we have seen.
There is no balance in it.
No, I don't believe so.
But if you look outside of Sweden, the discussion that has been going here in Sweden, is it heard elsewhere? Do they look upon it and take notice of what has happened here? Or is it like you said, what's happening here is none of our business and none of our concern in Germany or in the elsewhere in Europe, for example?
I think if there is a similar trade, it would be the TV advertising, which is discussed here, it's discussed in Denmark, it's discussed in the UK.
Okay.
That it's just too much. And personally, I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
But even though limiting that a bit, it's not gonna hurt the sector overall. I think it will maybe bring it a bit down, but it's nothing material. And I just returned from the US at a conference I attended, where the NFL was present, the owner of the New England Patriots, and a lot of the sports team, and they see this as a big opportunity to drive engagement with the fans. Because before they couldn't place a bet, now they have the chance to do so. So there it's actually viewed much more favorably than what we hear in Sweden at the moment.
Okay. You mentioned a few markets where you're active in Europe. Are there any more markets to come, or would you like to consolidate where you are and develop them even more before you start looking to new ones?
I would say both, actually, because we are investing in existing markets, but continuously, whenever we see an opportunity, we go for it. And that's the attractiveness of having an online business as we have. The cost of getting started aren't that great, so we can manage both, really.
Is there any dream market that you would like to enter, or
I think what I said about Asia. Asia is overall the biggest sports betting market in the world. In the world,
okay.
So if that would regulate at some point in time, in like China is the biggest one, that would be ideal. But I don't think it's near, and it would be another challenge. But it would be massive.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Well, is there anything else you would like to add now when you have the opportunity here to speak to us? Anything you would like to stress?
No, I think just really, what I just said, that there's been a lot of debate in Sweden and a focus on the Swedish part of this industry, and I think you need to look at it in a broader perspective, that actually it has never been as attractive to operate in this industry. The gross gaming revenue in the world has never been bigger than it is today. It's growing almost by double-digit online. So to me, that's a big opportunity.
Thank you very much for coming here.
Thanks.
And good luck.